Now, Russia says it's keeping its Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline closed to Germany closed after finding faults during maintenance. This comes just a day after G7 countries agreed to put a price cap on Russian oil exports to reduce Moscow's ability to fund its war in Ukraine. The news comes, of course, during a time of growing fears that families across the whole of Europe won't be able to afford the cost of heating this winter. Joining me now to discuss this is former British Army Commander Richard Kemp and Niall Gardner, a foreign policy analyst. Thank you both for joining me. I'll start with you, Colonel Richard Kemp. Can we say 100% that this is not due to a technical fault?
I can say that absolutely 100%, but of course I don't know for sure, and my word is of no particular value, but I think it's highly likely that this is a very predictable step in Vladimir Putin's attempt to apply pressure to the West, to Europe, particularly to reduce their support for Ukraine, because he knows, and we all know, that European countries are suffering directly as a result of their support, both in terms of the amount of money being spent on arms and financial backing for Ukraine, as well as the sanctions that are in place, which obviously have an effect in both directions. And that problem, the situation that we face, is only going to get worse as the winter sets in, and he knows that. And that's why he's timing his war, using energy as a war, he's timing it to exert maximum pressure. And I think it will have an effect, because already unfortunately we've seen the support for Ukraine dropping off in opinion polls in Europe. We've seen wavering among some countries. And we will see, I think, more of that. So it's a sound strategy on his part, and it was very predictable. And unfortunately, we have, if anything, over the years, we have made a policy like this much more likely and much easier for him to implement by making ourselves so reliant on Russian energy.
Now, Richard, before I go to Niall, which countries within Europe, which European countries are most likely to start looking at this situation and reassess their support from Ukraine? It seems to me that they're already starting to weaken their resolve, at least in their rhetoric.
Yeah, well, I think Germany is obviously the country that's most affected, everyone's going to be affected by it and is now being affected by it in terms of rising energy prices. But Germany has the greatest dependence on Russian energy, and I think that Germany will certainly begin to crack more than it is now. Italy already was very weak in its support for Ukraine, and I think we're going to see even more of that now. And we're seeing political changes beginning to take place in Europe with the recent and future elections. Which, for example, Italy, that does include parties that have been historically more aligned to Russia than hitherto. So, I think from a number of different directions, we're going to see countries beginning to crack. I can't give you an exact sequence. I think Britain, which is the strongest supporter of Ukraine in Europe and probably in the world, is kind of probably the last country to go, but it will suffer. The new Prime Minister, probably Liz Truss, is going to have to rally support from Britain in order to make people understand, if she's able to, that the economic pain that they're going to suffer, and it is going to be very deep economic pain, is a price worth paying to deal with the aggression of Vladimir Putin. Let's not forget, it's not just the war in Ukraine that we're concerned about, it's his future aggression as well.